There's also this video on how to convert a Revit model to um, a Illustrator file, but a lot of us are going to be seeing some, and I'm going to come back over here to these diagrams. These guys are really easy to do in both Photoshop and Illustrator. And then there's another one, I think it was Ben's. Yeah, Ben's is heavily an Illustrator image. And then there was somebody else. I'm noticing some people didn't put their stuff in here. It is what it is. This is also likely an Illustrator image. This is an Illustrator image. That's Illustrator in a mix. So what I want to do is I actually want to teach you how to go from Revit, um, from finding like a some kind of 3D view, putting it into AutoCAD, cleaning it up, and then taking it into Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and open all of these at the same time. I don't want you guys opening them all at the same time, but I just, for the purpose of this video, to make it quick, because I have advising in a minute. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take a perspective camera shot in Revit. And so I'm just going to take the camera, drag it, and make it a little camera view. Just a reminder that you change the eye elevation over here. So let's change it to like 100, and it should pull this up. I still can't see anything. So what I might do is take the crop off down here at the bottom and move myself around until I find a good shot, and get me a nice bird's eye view. And then I'm going to put the crop back on it. Um, that feels a little bit better. And I know I'm going to have an addition portion, so I want to be able to see that addition. In my model here, I don't have the addition, but for the purpose of this video, it all is the same. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're actually not going to go export it from just this image. You have to put it on a sheet. So I'm going to create a new sheet. It doesn't really matter. Let's just do 11 by 17. I'm going to name this view. So right now it's called 3D View 8, but that's kind of hard to like find sometimes. So I'm going to come into the properties and change it under identity data and just say 3D View Illustrator Exterior. I don't know. Change it whatever name you want, but that way you can find it in your project browser. And then I'm going to go to the sheet and I'm going to put that view on a sheet. So I'm going to open my 3D views in the project browser, find the 3D view Illustrator, whatever I named it, exterior, drag and drop, just like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stay on this sheet, go File, Export, and then export it as a DWG. And then all of this looks fine, so next. And I'm going to save it in a location that is easy for me to find. So maybe that's in a file folder, maybe Harding, mine's under Harding Architecture. Then I have class stuff. Y'all are second year students, 2610. And then I'll have some images or file folder locations in here. Anyway, I'm going to call it Final Project Illustrator Exterior Bird's Eye, just so that I can find it. My AutoCAD is a 2024 AutoCAD, so I'm going to keep it at 2018, and everything else is fine. I kind of want to leave it as exporting these views on sheets and links as external references. What that's going to do is it's actually going to export this image and this sheet on two different files. So there'll be one AutoCAD file where all of it is exported, and then just the image will be exported. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. So I'm just going to leave that checked. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to hit OK. And so now it's exporting. And it's just exporting line work. If I were to be in here and try to export this as a 3D or a 2D image, it will actually read everything as a 3D. So it'll export the entire model in line work instead of just the image. I want to be able to go to AutoCAD, pull open AutoCAD, and pull open my file folder wherever I saved it, Harding Architecture, class, second year, 2610, and then I just saved it in here. So what do I mean about this? This is the entire sheet that we were looking at. So this is the title block and then the image sitting on the title block. But since we exported the views separately too, here's that second AutoCAD file, and notice it's just the image. And so I want to take and drag him and drop him into AutoCAD. And then you'll see that this is just kind of a bunch of line work. I don't recommend that you pull around, but if I were to hold my shift and rotate myself around in AutoCAD, you'll notice that it's a flat drawing. And that's what we want because Illustrator is not going to read it. Bummer. Let me get us turned back around. It's been a minute since I've been into AutoCAD. Illustrator is not going to read a 3D file. And so one thing that is going to be helpful while I'm here in AutoCAD is to just kind of clean up some line work. So I'm going to make myself a box actually, and I want to clean up any line work that's going to be a problem later for me. Whoops, it snapped. So I'm going to pull this up. That looks pretty good. I want to be able to like trim off some of these corners, like this one and this one. I don't want this, so I'm going to select my box and I'm going to type in trim, hit the space bar, and I'm going to trim all of that line work. I'm going to trim that line work. That's a bunch of line work I don't want. I actually might delete that, and y'all won't have that anyway. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this. Don't need that. I'm going to delete this, etc., etc. So I just want to be able to have this nice and clean for when I take it into Illustrator. So here would be another area where I'm going to clean up these lines. And I'm going to like take a step back and see what needs to be deleted. Obviously, I'm not going to show the columns over here. They're popping through my roof. I'm just going to delete them. So I'm just selecting them and hitting delete. I do want to show this this brick, and I do want this to come all the way. So I'll just drag him there. I'm just kind of combing through it. Not quite sure what these are, so I'm going to delete those. Oh, these are grid lines, actually. This was my grid. But I don't need them in this drawing that I'm making because I'm making a 3D image, so I'm going to delete these. I'm actually going to delete the people because they look funny. I'd rather put in good 2D people later on. I'm going to delete these. Y'all probably don't have those, but I do. I'm actually going to delete the trees because I'd rather, or at least those trees. I don't need to delete this tree, but I do want to clean him up. No, that's fine. I want to clean him up because I don't want to have to like rework this. Now, you may not have any trees from Revit, and that's totally fine. That'll be helpful because then this will all come in for you. It didn't come in for me, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let me delete this, that. I'm just going to try to work as quickly as I can. Delete, 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 delete. Okay, so I got like most of this cleaned up. I'm just gonna that can go away. That can go away. All right. Yes, that's looking so much better. So much better. I think there's actually, let's pull that to meet here, that to meet down here, that to meet there. Trim. Trim. Extend. Delete. Extend the line is what I'm doing here. Trim. Here, trim and extend. There we go. So he's looking a little bit better. Trim, extend. Then we'll delete this. We'll delete that. We'll delete that. Those are all in the way. Then we'll trim this. We'll extend this line. So here's a building form. It looks like there's a building form here. And then some overlapping lines. Sorry, I accidentally extended that too far. Trim. Notice how easy it is to work in AutoCAD. Okay. Oh, this guy's looking kind of funky. Let's select all of those. That's looking better. Extend. Trim. Okay. He's feeling a little bit better. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, oh man, select, there we go. What I'm going to do is I have Illustrator open. I'm going to start a new file. You'll name it whatever. I would name it something and save it in a place that you are using to create your graphics. I'm going to go to AutoCAD. I'm going to select it, right? Just drag and select Control C. Okay, go to Illustrator, Control V. And then in Illustrator, I can infinitely scale. Now, notice I'm just moving it with my mouse. If I hold Shift, I'm going to scale it in proportion. So just as you're scaling it up, hold Shift. And then you can start to fill these in. So this is kind of how you get a image from Revit to Illustrator to get those really nice clean lines. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if something comes over here, it's not the end of the world. Like if I forgot to do something in AutoCAD, I can just pull it over. Doing it in AutoCAD is so much faster than doing it in Illustrator. And so my advice is just to kind of clean it up in AutoCAD and then take it over into Illustrator. And let's say you kind of found a car in Illustrator and you didn't want to use the car from Revit, well then just delete him. I actually think this is a building line right here. And then what I can do in Illustrator is I can actually bump up, let's double click inside. I can bump up the object lines. So I'll select him. And where's my, I'm not in Essentials Classic. I am in Essentials Classic. Essentials. Essentials Classic. Oh, my stroke's over here. So I'm going to turn my stroke up, right? Um, or maybe I don't want any stroke and I just want these buildings to kind of vanish. One option is to literally finish the uh, finish the image over here, and then I can, oops, I keep selecting the wrong mouse. And then I can come and edit my my shape. I can make sure he has a stroke on him. The stroke is what creates that boundary line for us. So here's the stroke, and right now it's at a 1 point, but watch what happens when I turn it to a 0.25. So that kind of pulls it down. And then let's say I wanted, so I can fill in all these shapes, and then let's say I wanted this to be like blue. I could literally, and I know it's going to feel time consuming because it is, but it really does turn out to be a beautiful drawing. I'm going really quickly because I'm going to come back and fix this in just a second, and I don't want to be on this line or it's going to select the anchor point of the line, and it's going to give me some annoying pains, in my opinion. I just like to come back and fix it later. Does that make it more work for me? Yes, it does. But I find I can control it a lot quicker this way. So let me just show you. Here, and I'm only doing this because I've seen a few people. Oh, see, that's what happens. I've seen a few people want this style, and I think it's a cool style. I really do. So then I'm gonna take this piece and I'm gonna turn it. Let's just, yeah, let's do like a really cool, like navy, deep blue. Um, and then in the layers, I am going to pull him below that, uh, like so. And then I will just come over here and I will hit the anchor points with my little white mouse. There it is. There it is. It's kind of hard to see. There. There. All of y'all saying you didn't like Illustrator. Let me tell you, she makes great graphics when you know how to use her appropriately. So you'll just go through, hit these at the corners, and I'm going to pause now. Okay, back at it. Now, all I've done is I have kind of pulled this around and I changed the stroke color to white, but you can also change it to plain color. Let's say maybe it's this one. Whoops. Let's color that interior again. Oh, I lost the color I liked. That's okay. So maybe here. That feels good. That's fine. And then over here, stroke, I can pull it up on the edges. I don't know. I need to do that. Control Z will let me get out of that. See that this is quickly kind of turning into a really interesting diagram. So especially that are wanting to show some beautiful diagrams, this is kind of a, excuse me, of doing that. Now I can come in and I can fill in all of these faces, or I could just um, I could just leave them white. And actually, I'm not really a fan of that. Um, and then put a really heavy background on this guy and go stroke. Let's pull him up to maybe like 3 or 4. So that gives me this really beautiful kind of punchy outline at the building within the site. I think these types of diagrams, if I were to go back to the Miro board, wrong button. Come on. Who was it? It was Ben. Sorry, Ben, I'm picking on you a little bit, but these can then be added with trees and all of these things. You could then add text, right? So I could take the text in here. You can have on in Illustrator line segment tool. So I could have, you know, here, and let's pull him off. I don't know. Yay, big, pull down to the stroke. But I can actually end arrowhead. This is, I can never remember which one is which. Ah, I always get them flipped around. And then I can actually make the scale smaller for this. So let's say I'm trying to say header, I can put text on a path and type. You must click on a non-compound. Oh. Here, text. I'm not quite sure why it's giving me some errors. But well, it doesn't matter. Type tool. Brick header. I think there's 2 D's in it. I never remember. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. For this purpose, it doesn't matter. So then I can move, I can rotate it. Transform, rotate, maybe like 2 degrees. Preview. Oh, right. -5. -15 degrees. -10 degrees. So, but you can get them appropriately on here. And so then you can also do this portion in InDesign if you wanted. However, like Illustrator is, just remember it is a vector software. So I can say brick header, I can say, you know, row lock, I can say brick here, and then come over here and say pop out in representation, blah. So these can be really beautiful diagrams of just showing the 3D building. These make renderings. So if I say Illustrator rendering, texture, goodness, here we go. It's just kind of a beautiful artwork piece. So you can see that people are using like Illustrator and Photoshop to kind of create these custom, extremely like, yeah, it's calling it post-digital, like just this stylistic visualization. So I've seen some people be really interested in these visualizations. There's just kind of this post-digital type, and then there's this realistic type. I would just be consistent. Like, do you want something that is post-digital or do you want something that is realistic? It's going to come from a software. This is going to come from Photoshop, Illustrator, and some Revit views. Um, that is my spiel on taking Revit and putting it in Illustrator.